Yes, so yes, so yes, so yes. Yes, so yes, so yes, so yes.
All right, welcome to the Oh Yes podcast. Today we got our boy Nicholas Martin.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Is it Nicholas? Is your full name Nicholas?
It is Nicholas.
Nicholas, not Nikolai or something.
Not
You never know.
Nikolai,
I don't know.
No,
He's like, actually, it's Nikola. That's just some crazy
Nikolai
name.
Ostrovashevich. Oh man, dude, how's your day going?
It's been awesome. The weather is great. Can't complain. It
good
feels
today.
good to be.
That's the
home.
first time,
Dude,
I
I feel
listened
like-
back to a few other ones, and every single one we've been like, the weather fucking sucks today, man.
Well, dude, I mean, in LA, the weather's been shit for a while. And
Yeah,
like
it was
the
raining
past,
for a
like,
bit.
week and a half, maybe. I don't even know. A little bit longer, but it's
Yeah.
been nice. It's been good.
It's been very nice. What'd you do today so far? Have you had any
Today-
exciting things?
Nothing. Woke up early. Went to the gym. On like my third coffee now.
Okay, same. We've had the
Um,
same exact day so far.
You guys are like the same people.
Literally, yeah. I went to the gym. I'm on my third coffee. I had
Yeah.
2 cold brews earlier, and now I'm on a iced almond milk latte.
So do you feel like you have an immunity to cold brew as well?
I mean, you can ask Dave. Coffee does
Yeah, this
zero
fool
to
drinks
me.
like 9 cold
yeah,
brews
Yeah,
a
that-
day.
like I can drink coffee and go to bed. Like
Yeah,
it would not
yes.
affect me at all.
You're like one of the few people because everybody in my band or crew, they all think I'm crazy because I can down espressos and cold brew and then go, all right, I'm gonna go
it
pass out.
doesn't wake me up as much as it just makes me normal.
Yes,
you know what I
that's
mean? Like,
exactly.
yeah, it's like a lot of times we'll like be going to the plane and Dave will be like, I'm not gonna grab a coffee. I'm gonna like sleep on this 12-hour flight. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna grab a coffee, but I'm also gonna sleep on this 12-hour flight.
well, I just started drinking coffee like 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
I
So
never
you're,
drank
you're
coffee.
like new to it.
Yeah, because I could do Red Bulls and like energy drinks, but if I drank coffee, I would get like shaky and like anxious and like it made me feel horrible. And he was going to Starbucks so much that I just was like, fuck, I'm just gonna have to start drinking a coffee because I'm coming
gotta,
here
like,
every
succumb
day.
to it.
So
You're
I
like,
went
yeah.
like through 2 weeks of kind of hell, and then I like got evened out. But I just do one cold brew in the morning. And that's usually all.
I definitely tricked him into it though. We'd always be at the counter. I'd be like, "You want something, man? I got you." And he'd be like, "No, I don't drink coffee." And then like after a while, he was like, "Yeah, let me get the." And then all of a sudden, it just kind of
got
unraveled.
into it.
But there was
Yeah.
a minute where you were drinking like 3 coffees a day.
Yeah. I went through a phase, but it just makes me. It doesn't make me feel like shitty anymore, but I just have extra anxiety for no reason. If I drink more than like 1, I could do 2 maybe if they're spread out, but that's
After
it.
that,
max for
it's
me.
game over.
Yeah, game
See,
over.
and now I can't do energy drinks.
Oh
So
wow.
I can't do Red Bull or anything like that because it's like too jittery for me,
Yeah.
which is so weird because it was like that for me. Like throughout my 20s, it was Red Bull, Monster like all the time.
Yeah.
And then I made the switch to coffee, and now I can't do energy
And
drinks.
it's so
Yeah.
it's,
Really
it's
weird.
better for you.
I actually really can't
Yeah.
either. Not even just because we're sponsored, but Monster now I can do. Like I'll always make like mixed drinks at the shows with like the white
and
Monster.
they
that's
have
super
the white
fire.
monster is
White
0
Monster's
calories, 0
so
sugar,
good.
0
That's what I
carb.
had and isn't.
And it doesn't make me feel too weird. So
Yeah. So shout out. No.
Hey.
Yeah. So speaking of health, you got like super into health. What, like 4 years now? 3 years?
Probably-
You've been like really into it?
It's probably been around like 3 to 4 years. It's been like in a varying kind of like different stages where, you know, I realized what it was is when I joined Sirens, when I started doing photos, I just started realizing like, dude, these guys look fucking good. And I look like the fucking just like shitty piece of
oh yes,
Okay.
come
I
on.
joined the band that's just looks completely unhealthy. So I just started cutting out shit. Like I was like, I'm not gonna put creamer in my coffee in the mornings. I'm gonna try to drink more water, like simple things like that. And then I started to feel insanely healthier. And I was like, I should continue doing this because I feel a hell of a lot better now. So
Yeah.
I dropped like, I'm guessing somewhere over like 40 pounds
Oh, wow.
over the last like 3 years. And now I'm even more into it. So now it's like going to the gym, like 4 days a week, 5 days a week. Tomorrow's my anniversary of a year of being sober. So no,
wow.
so no
Congratulations.
alcohol. Yeah. So no alcohol, no drugs, something like that. So
Was that just for the health thing, or you just didn't really like getting fucked up, or like what was the?
It was a mixture of a lot. Part of it was a health thing. It was like one more added thing to just like cross off the list of, you know, making
Bettering
sure.
yourself
Yeah,
and-
exactly it. And then, but it was that too. It was just being in. You guys know what's up. I mean, like being in a band and there's just alcohol all the time. And
Yeah.
for doing this, you know, since I was 18 years old, you know, you start to realize that shit, why am I drinking every day? Like,
Yeah.
why I don't need to be doing this anymore. And as I've gotten older, like it's harder to get through a hangover. It's harder to, to bounce back after, nights of just getting fucked up. And, as I've gotten older and bettering myself and understanding myself and realizing, I don't have to get fucked up all the time.
Right.
And, I wanted to be the best me for my wife, my family, my band, but, just for myself. So
Yeah.
So this whole health journey has definitely opened my eyes as far as like what my body can handle.
Yeah.
What it can't handle.
Well, it's kind of one of the decisions that you like have to make when after you've toured for so long. Like, are you gonna keep getting fucked up every night, or are you gonna like start taking your life seriously? Because I have friends that either have kept getting fucked up and they're not necessarily in the best life place, and maybe that's not 100% to do with that, but I know it's not helping. And then I have friends like you and even me, like I still drink, but like way differently than I used to. And like you have to make that decision because it is like on tour, it's easier to get a beer than to get like a bag of chips or a water.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
It's insanely
It's there.
easy.
It's all free always. Like your rider's fully there.
It's literally encouraged.
It's encouraged.
It's encouraged for you to get fucked up.
It's like you have friends come out, and a lot of those friends, it's like, they're one night kind of the week to just rage. And so they're just like pressuring. They're like, yo, let's rage. And you're like, we haven't seen each other in 2 years. Let's do 19 shots.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, fuck, I do this every night.
Yeah.
I can't do this tonight.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's something that Dave always said that I never realized until he said it. He said it like, I don't know, probably like 3 years ago. And I was like, damn, every city we go to, the friends that come out, they work normal jobs. So it's their one night to do it. But when you're entertaining your friends on their one night in every city, that's 30 days of entertaining your homies.
That's here every night.
So like for you, it's every night, but they don't realize that. They're like, dude, it's Friday. Let's get fucked. You're like, well, it was Thursday yesterday and I was in Boston and I got fucked also. So
I'll do it again tonight.
Yeah.
And they realize that too. They'll be like, man, you have the coolest job. Like you get to do this every night. And then after a while, you're like, this is not cool.
No, you're like, I do have the coolest job, but I don't, this part of it isn't cool.
Drinking every night too, like it fucks with your mental health. You know what I mean? Like it really will fuck with you.
It absolutely did that to me. And that was something that I realized after drinking, where I was like, man, like I just feel there's a clarity. And I know that's always like a common term used, like when you,
it sounds cliche, but it's fucking
it's true. Like it was easier to, understand my goals, like whether if they be personal or with the band, whatever it is, like I could see that clear. And I felt like there was more motivation and inspiration to move forward to accomplish all that shit. Cause you can't do that when you're hungover, when you're cloudy. And
Are you like vegan, vegetarian, anything like that? Or you just eat clean? And
I used to eat clean.
Yeah.
I love meat.
Yeah. I love meat too.
But I also love vegan food.
Yeah.
Vegetarian food.
Have you tried like keto or any of those like things? Because we've done like, I feel like me and Dave have tried every style.
We love trying the new diets.
He went from being a vegan to keto. Literally, he didn't eat one animal product to only eating, and it was It was a crazy jump. But we've tried. Have you tried any of those or?
No, it's just all about clean eating. So I guess there's like keto inspired things. But I still like right now I'm in like what would be like a carb cutting phase. So it's just minimal carbs, but I still consume carbs.
Right.
But keto.
Are you like tracking everything and like all that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
I've gotten super gnarly about it.
It's like too much.
Weighing everything out. Like sometimes I feel like, am I taking this like too far?
You're like, am I at a restaurant weighing my food? I am at a restaurant weighing my food right now.
You bring the scale with you?
But it makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Like
That's all that matters. I mean, realistically, it's like what I always say, like, you know what? If eating shitty makes you feel great, then like you should do that. But if eating better makes you feel great, I mean, I don't know anybody that's like, I eat McDonald's every day, I feel incredible. But if it does that for you, if it does that for you, go for it.
Yeah.
So you're from San Diego-esque. What was your first band that like really started touring? Was it Undermined?
Yeah, that was my first.
And you sang in that band?
Yeah.
So
dude, I was such a huge fan of Undermined.
Thanks,
like
dude. I was an angry motherfucker.
Yeah, dude,
I
your
loved it.
scream is insane. I remember the first time I heard you scream was on that Chiodo song.
Yeah.
And I was like, who's this guy? And then I like went back, and then I didn't even realize because I had been friends with Tanner,
Yeah.
and I didn't even realize that Tanner was in that band, and like my whole life came into this like weird circle. I was like,
So weird.
I'm Tanner's brother's roommate. Tanner was in a band called Undermined. I didn't even know. I heard this guy, and it was a weird,
small world.
yeah, very small world.
Was it
yeah.
Mike Fuentes was in that
Mike
too, right?
Fuentes was the original drummer.
Yeah.
And so we'd like Pierce Avail and Undermined had started their band. Obviously, we've gone through name changes, but we started our bands together when we were teenagers in the same house. And then that was a crazy story, just because ended up finding out that Vic and Mike were my cousins, even though we didn't even know that until yeah, it was wild.
Whoa,
But,
how was that? Like,
so
yo,
this-
homie, we're cousins.
Yeah,
Like,
we need to unleash it right now on the pod. How did that happen?
So we had no clue. So it was a situation where Undermined was playing at their house. Like they were having a barbecue, and we were like, fuck, let's just rip a quick set. Like let's just gig it up at the house. And we're hanging at the house, and you know, Mike's family was there. And then all of a sudden my aunt walks in. I was like, what are you doing here? And she's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, why? We you know, I was so tripped out. So come to find out that we have a mutual cousin. So my blood cousin is also their blood cousin through through a different marriage. So I guess we're not technically like blood related, but we're like second cousins, or I don't know how it would work.
That is
out,
so
but
crazy.
We share the same cousin that we both grew up with, being really close with. So
and didn't know.
and had no clue.
Wow,
Dude,
that's
fucking
crazy.
That's
Yeah.
buck
So
wild.
you Undermined that. So you guys did you tour like a bunch? Did you? Was it? I'm not too familiar. So
No,
like,
it's all
what's
good.
the story?
So we were that band that I look back on it now. I feel like we were like 2 years ahead of our time.
Right.
Like we were doing the hardcore thing.
You were also every band's band.
So that was our
every
thing.
band talks about Undermined.
Yeah, still to this
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
So weird. So yeah, so we toured our asses off. I mean, we did Warped Tour in 2004, setting up the Smart Punk stage.
Like you had to actually
We
build the
built it,
stage.
and that was
That's grind.
That was when we did like pallets. Like we had to wake up in the mornings, and we had no union workers, so we had to go find the truck, bring the pallets, like level every pallet, like build a stage from scratch,
wow.
and then open up every single day on that stage, not make a single dime, and then wait till the very end of the night and break down that stage.
Oh wow, that's
and
crazy.
touring in a van.
Yeah,
So
that's
it was tough. It was a grind. So we toured for a long while, and then we disbanded in 2007, and that's when I started kind of touring with Chiodos, and just that escalated into like being in
Were you
bands with
like
them.
working for Chiodos, or like what were you
So-
playing with them? Yeah.
I teched for them, but I was the worst guitar tech for like the best guitar player in the world. Jason at the time, he's like the most insane guitar player. Had this huge pedal board, had this crazy guitar setup.
Like, I've never seen any of this
I don't
shit,
know
but I'll
what
figure it
the
out.
Fuck, I'm doing. Like I was not meant to be a tech. I was fucking atrocious at it. So yeah, so I teched for them, but also just like toured with them. And then that just kind of escalated into starting new bands and all that. So Undermined was just my first band, just grinding, just
Yeah.
learning the industry, you know, touring in a van before there was cell phones. Like when,
Dude, when you had to print out MapQuest of the whole
Yeah.
tour.
I mean, we used to get stoked on Ram McNally maps, like coming out like new editions. It's like,
You're like, dude, the 4.9 just came out. We gotta go
dude,
grab
it's so
this shit.
stoked. We're Barnes and Noble.
So you join you work for Chiodos, and then you and Craig start a band, right?
Yeah.
You, Craig, and Matt Good start a band. Yeah.
So we started Drugs, and then we got Aaron Stern on drums, who was in Matchbook Romance, and then we had
Yeah, it was like a super group.
we had
Right.
Adam from Story of the Year. It was so cool. It
Yeah.
was that was a wild ride.
Yeah, was it crazy to go from being like the screamer to being like the guitar player? Like
Yeah, that
like
was
did you always play guitar like growing up?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and it was always like always wanted to be the front man. So that was such a weird time. Like when I think back, like where I started in Undermined and being like the front man and doing all that, and then moving into just like a rhythm guitar thing in a band where like I was the unknown. That like humbled me up so much, and it was an awesome way to like step back and like learn so much more from all these amazing musicians being in a band with, and doing our record with John Feldman, and just all of a sudden being in this new world where I was in this hardcore band playing in front of like 20 kids if I was lucky, to now being in a band that we got signed to Warner Brothers immediately. And our first tour was headlining the AP tour and selling out all the shows. Like, it was definitely like this major step. Like, that was like, I was down here and all of a sudden it was like, we were skyrocketing.
It's crazy what going, because like growing up in high school, I always wanted to be like the screamer or the singer. I thought that's what I was supposed to. And then when I joined my first like signed band, I played bass, and it taught me like, oh, there's like a team mentality here. It's not like, it's not just me trying to, it was like, yo, me playing bass is better for this band than trying to be like the singer. Cause I wasn't the best singer.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, okay. And then it's like, it puts you in this weird thing where you're like, oh, it's about a team. It's not just about like me being the singer or.
It actually made it more fun. I was like, oh shit, like this doesn't all lie on my shoulders. Like, there's other dudes that I share like this responsibility with.
Yeah.
I was like, this is cool. I like this.
Were you always like you strike me as the kind of guy that was like the business guy? Like, you like talking to managers, you like doing things like that. Yeah.
That was the understanding for me, that I loved being an entrepreneur. Like, I loved the back end of everything. I loved the marketing, how the money worked, how, the finances, how we get signed, like booking agents, like learning all that I loved it.
Yeah.
Whereas, most of the people I grew up with didn't really care about that. It was just like, I just want to play a gig and get fucked up, but for me, I was like, well, I like learning about everything.
I want to know how this thing came together.
Yeah. It's like fun to me.
Yeah.
That was always like the business aspect of it has always intrigued me and still does.
Yeah.
So how did sleeping come about?
So after drugs disbanded, I like quit the industry. I was like, I'm done with music. The whole drugs experience, that's like a podcast in itself. Yeah. So, but I mean, not to say it was all bad. I mean, it was an amazing experience, but I was so burnt out at the end of it that I decided to start a screen printing business. So that's what I did after that. Like, wanted to do something completely separate. Didn't want to pick up a guitar. Just wanted to, just work making shirts, like, and doing everything from scratch, like making the screens, mixing my own ink, like doing all that. Like, that was like therapeutic for me. Mm-hmm. And then I was doing that for a couple of years. And then I got a text from Kellen. And I wasn't really like great friends with Kellen. Like, we were homies, and my previous tour manager in drugs was tour managing them. And we had mutual friends. And I had met them a few times, but like I said, we had never really like broed down or anything per se. And Kellen just texted me. He was like, hey, we've got a tour coming up in the UK. We're looking for a guy just to fill in because our guitar player is having a kid. If you're interested, like, let me know. And at that point, I just viewed it as a vacation, a paid vacation. I was like, I'm going to get paid to get to go overseas for a little bit. Like, fuck it, I'm down.
Yeah, exactly.
So, so I went to Nashville to rehearse with them for the tour, learn the whole set. And, like, that first day, I remember when I played with them, I was like, fuck, I miss this so much. Like, shit, this is so cool. And it was cool to be in a band with dudes that were really good, like really talented. Like, Jack is like one of the best guitar players I've ever played with. So I was like, fuck, like, this is going to be a good time. And I remember just getting back on tour and just like falling back in love with being a musician, like being in a band. I was like, I fucking miss this so much. And that was a huge tour for them. Like, when I came on, all of a sudden I was playing in front of like 2,000, 3,000 people a night. I was like, oh shit, like being like thrown like right back into it. But it just felt really good. And then I think it was like a week or two into the tour, they're like, hey man, like, we need to have a talk with you. And I'm thinking like,
you're like, damn, what did I do wrong?
That's it, man. Am I fucking sucking or what is it? And went into the back lounge with them, and they were like, so I know that we said we just wanted you to fill in for this tour, but we have a US tour after this, and we were just wondering if you want to come out on that too. And then that just snowballed into where I'm at today. That, solidified my spot in the band, and that was it. Just like, it's kind of like I fell back into it without any sort of notion of like ever being a musician again. So,
Yeah.
Well, it seems super organic. Like you just
it was
organically,
so
just-
organic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool way to go back into it. Like you went into it with zero expectation,
Zero.
and then it was like,
Literally
oh, these guys are cool. These guys are my friends. Yeah, one more tour, and then
Yeah.
one more tour just turned into. How many albums have you guys done together now?
This will be technically our third together, kind of fourth.
Yeah. How is that going? Because it happened to me with Breathe. How is it going? Like joining a band pretty much at their peak, like established already. Was it like weird coming in, or was it like you guys just clicked right away? Like, did you not know? Because when I joined, like the first 2 tours, I was like, I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I don't know, like, you know what I mean? You like don't know because you have this group of guys, and you're like, am I allowed to have an opinion? I don't know. Like,
No,
it's a weird.
It was weird. It was like that, where I was questioning like my place. Like, can I say that this sucks, or like,
Right.
why do we have this guy on tour with us, or why does this person work for us? I definitely went in and just like was minding my business, you know, and then when they would ask me questions like, what do you think about this, Nick? Like, what do you think about this label? Or what do you think about this manager? Blah blah, and just kind of like slowly gained my role doing that. But it was definitely weird at first. And I'm older than everybody else too. So it was I felt like it was a weird dynamic at first, but looking back on it now, I see that we clicked immediately.
Yeah, it was probably just in
Yeah.
your own head. You don't want to
Yeah,
like
I was
over.
just like, dude, like they already have this thing going. Like they were at such peak at that point too. And I was like, who am I? Like, I'm just like this dude that's just kind of like walking into this when they already have this like close bond. But I mean, I literally consider them their brothers.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Have you worked your way in a role now in the group where like you like handling the business stuff for this band too?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that they learned about me early on that I was really into that.
Right.
But that I also had an experience. I already had experience before going into this band of being in previous bands, and I think they were surprised as to how many people I still knew in the industry as well. Like we'd be on tour and they'd be like, how do you know Nick? And they're like, I've known Nick for 10
Right.
years. So
Yeah.
I hear that about you a lot. Like everybody already like when there's like conversations, like everyone from Sleeping, like big time, everyone's always like, yeah, Nick, I know Nick. Like it's your name is like always brought up. I feel like you were just the guy, everyone. Like,
yeah.
you know.
So I think that just came a trust with that. They were like,
Yeah.
shit, like we trust Nick to make decisions about this, or if Nick feels this way about it, then fuck it, let's run with it.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like every band, like there's only 2 of us, so it's easier for us. But like in a
Yeah.
band of like 5 people, like you really need the 1 guy, 2 guys that are like,
Absolutely.
that like, because it's hard for a manager to talk to 5 people.
yeah,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? It's
yeah.
it's
you have to have like that
difficult.
1 or 2 guys to like go to for shit. So
Yeah.
it feels good to be, in a position to be able to do that.
Yeah. So you guys now are doing your new record.
Yep.
Are you able to tell us anything about
Yeah.
it?
Can you tell us anything?
Yeah.
He's like, I could tell you that we made it.
Yeah, I can tell you that it's new.
That it's
It'll come out sometime.
Yeah, it sounds
Coming out
good.
at some point.
We did it with Zach Cervini, who did he's an engineer on the Madness album, and we also did some songs with Matt Good as well. So having the
Yeah. How was that to be back with Matt? Like,
I always felt like there was always something was always going to come full circle with us somehow, some way. Like
dude, he's his mind of like just like the guitar parts and the vibe that fool has set. Like for First to Last is one of my favorite bands. Like,
Same.
I mean everybody.
Same. Yeah.
Like it's so dark and like crazy. And like then when I heard he was like producing bands, I was like, okay, like yeah, band guy gonna produce bands. What's it gonna sound like? And then I like, heard the stuff he was doing. I was like, Jesus Christ, it's like insane.
And it's weird because his brain, the way he processes things and how he writes and comes up with parts, like I have no clue how he does it. And it seems so seamless and easy for him.
Yeah.
So, when we're writing something, then he goes, let's write a chorus real quick. Like it'll take us like 5 minutes. Let me think of something. And then he'll put it together and it'll be like the most amazing shit I've heard. I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
And he's just really easy to work with. And Kellen and I had talked a few years back about it, some point working with Matt Good. So the timing just worked out perfectly to.
Did you guys go? He lives in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys go to Arizona?
No,
be
you
with
came
him?
out to LA.
Oh, okay, sick,
Yeah.
awesome.
So
Like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, you're like, we don't go. I'm not leaving.
I love that. I love
you come to me.
yeah. So yeah, it was awesome working with them.
What's the vibe of the new album?
It's definitely heavier.
Heavier.
It's been like a pro and a con for this band that we can literally play anything. Like, you want us to write a pop song, we'll write a pop song. You want us to write a heavy song, we'll write a heavy song. I think that we've explored so many different styles within our genre and other genres that it was just like the natural time that what we made currently is where we were all at in our lives.
Dude, the scene needs, like, the rock scene needs a heavy band. Like, all the heavy bands, like, are trying to do this, like, radio rock thing.
Yes.
And it's like, we've been saying it for so long. We're like, God, if somebody just goes and does a heavy record, like you, obviously like a progression of like your roots, but like goes to the roots, you're going to smash because there's nobody doing it now. There's this void, and like emo music is huge right now. Like all the rappers, everything, they're singing emo melodies. Like they're singing melodies that Dave and Kellen wrote 10 years ago. Like
it's weird to see that come full circle.
It's
now.
weird. And it's
weird.
If somebody just taps into those melodies again and like that vibe, you're going to smash. It's going to be huge.
Well, that's hopefully the plan with this.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that was maybe a problem that we had beforehand. Like when we made Gossip, I feel like maybe we weren't at the right place in our lives to write an album at that point, you know? And so it just made sense this time around, and to have a nostalgic feeling behind it. So that was a big thing for Kellen, was like, I want to just be excited when I listen to it, but I wanted to bring back like emotions of when I first heard like this type of music.
Right.
So it was about making it feel nostalgic, but obviously making it feel current at the same time.
Exactly.
And so that was like the beauty of working with Matt Good and Zach, was they are like a perfect blend of that. Cause Zach is a big fan of our band. Like he grew up listening to us, but he has such a fresh ear for, you know, what sounds good now, like what's currently cool, you know? So he's able to really, he was able to really guide us like in a awesome direction, so that we were able to blend all of that. So it's definitely heavy as fuck. Obviously having Matt Good write some songs as well, like, you know, it's gonna have his elements in there. And I definitely hear like drugs things and like from first to last things, listening to those songs. So that's like exciting for me. That's
so
like,
sick.
that's fun. So.
Yeah, damn, that's awesome. I can't wait to hear it. I'm hyped to hear it.
And then when do you guys, I don't know if you're allowed to say, but is there a tentative release area? You can give me like an area of the year.
He's like, this decade, 100%.
Obviously this year, obviously you can kind of put some things together with us, like going back on tour and whatnot. So it's going to be a lot sooner than you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys are doing the new Rockstar Disruptor tour.
Yep.
Disrupt tour.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I'm fucking stoked because we're touring with Thrice and Circuit Survive. So being a Southern California
tour with bands you want to watch every night.
Dude, like I grew up the biggest Thrice fan. So to be able to tour with them, like I always say this and then I don't do it, but they are definitely a band that I'm probably going to watch every single day.
Yeah.
Every single night.
Yeah.
Like,
now, is it like a Warped Tour vibe? Like, is it going to be outside festival setting, or is it in clubs? It's outside.
It's outside setting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sick.
So it'll feel like we're back on Warp.
Yeah.
And we are doing the Warp shows as well. So that'll be fun. It's going to be a crazy summer.
That's tight.
How
man.
was doing this record, knowing you were gonna like write aggressive music again and stuff? Did it just come soup? I feel like, because I know for us, sometimes we've tried to do stuff that's out of our wheelhouse, and we've explored every genre, heavy, this, that, blah, blah. And sometimes when you just get in a vibe of like something that you like know how to do, it's like, did it just pour out of you? Was it like super easy?
Dude, it poured out.
Yeah.
It was another one of those things where, you know, we knew Zach was at the studio, and I think Kellen, Jack, and I were in LA at the time, and it was kind of presented of like, hey, Zach's got like a night or two free. Like, do you guys want to just get in, record a song, and just, you know,
see what happens?
Yeah, just grease the wheels.
Yeah.
You know. And it was one of those things where as soon as we got in, like we'd written like 2 or 3 songs in one night.
Oh, wow.
And then the next day, another like 2 songs came out. So I think it was just the right place at the right time that, you know, we were ready to just start cooking up new material.
How do you guys write? What's like the writing? Is the writing process like, do you write like into a computer? Is it you guys with acoustic guitars like singing? Like what's like your guys' process of
Yeah, I mean, everybody does it so differently.
Yeah,
so.
it's a mix. It's actually like everything you just said.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just a guitar riff that Jack has. Like Jack is like, I always call him like riff daddy. Like that dude, you tell him like, you give him a click and he'll just like, he can write a riff in 3 seconds,
Yeah.
you know? So sometimes it'll start with a riff. Sometimes, I mean, Kellen's like always singing. Like anytime we're on tour,
I
he's
know.
always humming.
Anytime when we were on tour with you guys, like I would just be walking through the halls. I'd be like, this is like a haunted building. And then you just hear like a distant, like, no.
Yeah.
I'd be like, who is that? And then all of a sudden Kellen would come out like, hey dude. I'd be like, okay, that scared the living shit out of me.
Yeah. Yeah, so sometimes it'll just be Kellen's got a melody, he's got like a hook, there's something that he's working with, and we just build around that. So it just varies. Sometimes I'll have an acoustic thing.
Is there anybody in your guys' band that is like a little bit of a producer as well? Like can do the demos or anything like
I
that?
feel like that's like Jack and I.
Jack
like
and you,
we're the guys that we can just kind of set up something on tour on a laptop and just
Yeah.
just
I
get
feel
a
like that's so
vibe on
important
something.
now. Like it's one thing like younger bands when we talk to and stuff. I'm not like it's not like a defining moment, but I'm like in today's day and age, you got to have a guy that can at least get the ideas down, because I feel like now labels and all this stuff, they want like a pretty much final product before like obviously like when we all started, you could have a pretty shitty product. Like
Absolutely.
not
Yeah.
shitty, but like you could have like a less than stellar product.
Yeah.
But if the idea was good and like your MySpace was popping, like you're probably gonna get
good.
signed.
Yeah.
But like now I feel like, I mean, there's bands getting signed that they have to have like a video that went viral and an album that's done and like
Yeah.
all these things.
Way different now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like point to kids a lot. I'm like, you should really get your product like ready to go. Like the days of like sending your demo that your homie recorded, I feel like that doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, it's best to just have as much of a finished product as possible.
Yeah.
now. And it's so different because that's not how it was
No.
growing up, like you said. Now
I mean, you could have like a live recording in your homie's like living room. If there was one mic, a label would be like, I hear
it
it.
sounds cool.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
this. Yeah. It's completely fucking.
Do you guys, when you do albums like for this one specifically, did you write like a shitload of songs and then you just picked the best 10 or whatever? Or do you kind of like, I like this, I don't want to overdo myself?
So what happened is that late last year when we had banged out all the songs, we had done I think 10 to 12 songs at that point, and that was in a 2-week span. And we were like, cool, record's done. Like that was easy enough. Like we don't need anything else.
Yeah.
But then over like the holidays, you know, it kind of came up like, you know, we could put this out right now and be completely stoked, but maybe we can do like 1 or 2 more songs and just see if we can, you know, select from those to see if we've got everything. Like, are there still some juices to put out there to see if it's worth, you know, seeing what comes out of that.
Yeah.
And we ended up writing again, and then we came up with another like 5 or 6 songs. So out of all of, I think we had somewhere between like 15 to 20 songs to choose from, and just whittled it down to like 11 songs.
Yeah.
Did you guys do a lot of co-writes on this one, or was it just you guys and the producers?
It was just
ripping?
us. It was
Yeah.
just us with Zach, or just us with Matt.
How'd that feel? Because you guys last record or the record before, you did like co-writes and stuff
We
too,
did,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. How's the difference? I guess. Yeah.
The difference, I think, especially from Kellen's standpoint, is it feels like it's him. I think that was maybe kind of like an issue that he would have with doing co-writes, is that, you know, having somebody else kind of help him with his thoughts or tell him to try to sing this, or you should feel like this. I think it was just it created something that I guess wasn't as like pure to him.
Right.
Like for this album, he had so much happen to him over the last few years that he wanted to get all that out in like the purest form possible and be as true to it as possible. So I think to just have us in a room with with the producer was all that we needed. And
Yeah.
and it's not that we weren't open to doing co-writes on this album, but we didn't need it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like once the material was coming out and hearing how good it sounded, we were like, fuck, like this is, let's not fuck with this. You know?
It's like it's really it's fragile. Like for us, I know
Co-writes
like
are hard, man.
it's hard,
The
man. We've
co-writes are
done
hard.
Yeah.
so many, and it's really hard.
You kind of like, I would feel like when I got in a room with like a co-writer and we were like writing, they would always like not really talk over me, but like their ideas were better, right? That's kind of the vibe I would get. And so
Yeah.
then you kind of like start doubting yourself and you get a little jaded and you're just like, now I just made this song that I don't even know what it's about.
Yeah.
I don't even fuck with it. Like
Yeah.
I sound weird because some girl was singing it and then I
Yeah.
sang with her and then over it. And then it's like not me naturally.
It's weird, right?
It's really like
It's
a
weird.
weird thing.
Yeah. And
when
that
those
kinda-
people too, they're not necessarily trying to write around. Like there's a few writers that we wrote with that like did actually ask us questions and like we like wrote together like based on certain things, and those were the best ones. But like
Yeah.
the ones where like someone's just trying to find a word that's catchy and like repeat it, you're just like, dude, that's just not us, man.
Yeah.
Like don't get me like it's not who we are.
and it feels weird, and then it kind of sucks the fun out of what you're doing. You're like, what? Like, why are we doing this? Or
Especially when you do like 100 in a month.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
that'll
that's
ruin
crazy.
your day.
that would be fucking nuts. Yeah, it's co-writing is such a weird thing, and there's like I feel like there's a politics game when
Yeah.
as well with it, and people want more points, and it just turns into that. It turns into like a money thing for
Yeah.
the songwriter that's involved. Like, are they really like into our band and like loving this, or are they just viewing this as like a paycheck right now?
Another
And
job.
that just feels dirty.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what I
such a
mean?
weird.
I love that you guys feel good about the album coming out. Not that you didn't on the
Absolutely.
last one, just like
No.
you can tell by talking to you. And that's always like, I feel like when you get the most successful product coming out, when,
Absolutely.
like you guys feel so connected to it.
Dude, because I feel like fans of music see through the bullshit. So like if you're not stoked on it, if you're not 100% about it, even if you're 99% about it, that 1% shows of that you're hesitant, you're not all in, and that conveys to the audience.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not stoked on it, why should anybody else be stoked on it?
Yeah.
So I think that was such a goal of ours on this record, was like, let's just be happy with what we're doing. Let's
Right.
be fucking
Yeah, you
stoked.
guys are at the
That's
point where it's like you've done so much of it that it's like at this point you have nothing to like lose but to be
Yeah.
happy. It's
Yeah,
like you
that's
might as well
it.
do it and like love it and kick ass doing it, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's like another thing. So you guys have done, you especially and your band, you guys have done like the indie label thing, major label thing, all the stuff. Like
Yep.
how would you say like to navigate that, or like how did you enjoy like the highs and the lows of each kind of thing? Because we've done it too, like the major label, the independent thing, the indie label.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
how did you feel? Like the last record was on a major, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like how was your experience like major to indie to being an undermined like independent and on an indie label? Like how, like everything.
It's crazy because there's just pros and cons to all of it. I
Yeah.
think that's what you learn at the end of it, is that, I mean, at the end of the day, there's no such thing as a perfect label.
Right.
Just like there's no such thing as a perfect band or a perfect management company, whatever it is. So every experience I've had has had its multiple pros, but it's multiple cons.
Right.
You know, I've been on Warner Brothers twice now. So Drugs, we had been signed to Warner, and then on this last album, we were with Warner, and you know, we just experienced the kind of the shit that's happened with majors where regime changes. You know, CEOs are out, A&R is out, you know, and things, you just get lost in a shuffle.
Right.
And it's not necessarily their fault per se, because
No, it's the guy that signed you
yeah.
isn't the guy that's there by the time your album comes out. It's like, how do you expect the new guy to love
the
your
passion.
band the
Yeah.
same way that the guy that signed
And
you?
nor
would?
do I expect them to.
Right.
I can't be like, whoever comes in now needs to give as much of a fuck as a person before.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you know, art and music is subjective. So
100%.
what our original A&R saw in us doesn't mean that the next A&R person is going to see that either. So I think, I don't know. Like I said, I actually don't view a whole lot of like this when I think about the label situations that I've been through in my life. Like,
Right.
they've all served a purpose, especially for whatever time we were, you know, at when we put out those records,
Right.
and they served their purpose and they did the best they could. And then that was it. So we just signed to an independent that I can't announce yet.
Right.
But it feels really good.
Yeah.
And they've given us our creative control.
I was gonna say, for a band like you guys, I feel like it's for us too, because we're on a major technically, but it's like an indie via like a major, and it's like you can just kind of do what you want as opposed to like being at the mercy of like these like, I don't know, titans, so to speak, that it's like you feel so much pressure. Like, we need a hit. We need to be, if you're not on the radio, it's a failure. If you didn't do 1 million albums, it's a failure. Where like you guys on an indie, it's like you're probably one of the biggest bands on the label. And it's just kind of like, we can write the record we want. It's going to be a win probably no matter what.
Yeah.
And honestly, indie labels, they budget so much smarter in a way. You know what I mean?
Absolutely they do.
Like they're like, hey, we're going to give you $10K for a video. We know you're going to recoup it. You're not going to owe us any money. Where it's like at a major, it's like 100 grand, this, that. And all of a sudden you're just like, dude, why are you, whoa. Like, it's weird, but you don't realize that until you're like our age or you've done it enough where you're like, I don't want you guys to spend crazy amounts of money.
We're not expecting that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think like you just said, like when you're somewhat established and you've been doing this for a while, there's a mutual trust, that, they're signing a band that they know has already, established getting a fan base and has a great following. Like you don't have to help us with that.
Right.
We don't need to have somebody looking over our shoulders in the studio every single day. Like, is this a hit? Like, what are you guys writing? Like, is this good? We don't, it's nice to not have to worry about that.
Right.
And it was even like that with Warner. Like, we never had anybody that was like, this isn't a single, you guys need to write more stuff like this. Like, they gave us a ton of creative control, which is amazing. So, fortunately we haven't had to relinquish that at all over the years. So, I know that being on labels where they have to be involved in every aspect of the business, that sucks the fun out of it. Yeah. And I always have said from day one that that's like the first and foremost for me is I just want to have fun.
Right.
So if someone is sucking the life out of that and I'm not having fun, like we need to make changes because that's not what I'm here to do.
Well, we might as well all get normal jobs.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You like people want to be in a band so they can just really not have a normal job. You know what I mean? That's kind of like, that's not the main goal, but there's an essence where you're like, I'm just going to play music my whole life. And it's like when you have somebody breathing down your neck, it's like, are you my boss?
Right.
Like, what the fuck is the deal here? Right?
Yeah,
like I don't like this.
It's also like,
now I don't want to write music anymore. I don't want to do this anymore.
It's,
like,
it's one of those jobs where like people don't realize, I don't think, like we never clock out. You know what I mean? Like you are on the phone or thinking about it or answering an email or something 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not going to work and clocking out and coming home. It's like either we're talking or our manager's talking to us or the label's talking to us or we're thinking or new ideas or writing. And it's one of those jobs that like, if it's not fun because you're doing it 24 hours a day, it's like, you can't do it. It'll kill you. Like it'll take control of like your whole thing. With this record, did you guys write it, get it ready, and then take it to like the label, or were you already? So you guys just did it yourselves, and you were like, "Hey, we have a finished product. Let's see who likes it the most."
We wanted to. That was it. Like we just wanted to make it as seamless and as easy as possible with finding the right partner for the album. So it was our goal was just let's write the album that we want without anybody telling us what it should or shouldn't sound like, whatever that is. Like, let's just record it ourselves, and then we'll present this final finished product to a label. And we just want to go with the label that listens to it and is the most stoked on it. That was
so
it.
Dope.
That was it. Like we just wanted whoever was going to be involved just to love it as much as we love it and be like, fuck yeah, I want to push this.
Well, that's the best way to do it because like, you're like, yo, let's give whatever label Sleeping with Sirens right now on this day. You know what I mean? Like, let's give them what we are. And that way you like, no one's telling you something and you're getting a partner. It's like a relationship, the label. Like you're getting a partner that like loves you too. Right. You know what I mean? That loves this thing that you made as much as you love it. And that working connection is like the match made in heaven.
That was it. That was the end goal was just, let's just find someone that's stoked on it. And it should be that easy. Like, I don't want to have to bend anybody's fucking arm to put out this record or like exactly. If you're stoked on it, fuck yeah, let's do it. That was it, you know? Yeah.
Did you guys send it to a few different like people and then literally just gauged who was the most excited about it?
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was it.
That's such a rad, like for like a bit, because a lot of bands can't do that. You know what I mean? Like it's awesome that you guys are established and at the point where like you can record your own record and like do it. But like, I feel like that's the best product you can get is like, you could go in with the producer that you want, record it. Everybody's like on this, like, it's going to be great. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
Finish it. And then you just have it. And you can literally just go have meetings with people and be like, we're just literally going to base this on the reaction of who loves it the most. Because you're going to get the best partner that way.
And that felt so good. That feels so like pure. Like it's not forced. It's not weird. It's us like being fucking stoked on something and then finding out who else is stoked and that's it.
Not based on like fucking just stupid politics that you like.
No.
Like after a while, like I think when you first like when I first got signed or this and that, it's like, okay, I'm like learning the politics of everything. And then it's like, dude, by album 4, you're just like, dude, I'm so sick of like the bullshit like politic of like
It sucks.
It sucks. It really does suck. And it puts you at this point where you're like, I just that's where we got with like our old label after we did an album.
Yep.
We just did like this album. We put so much time into it. And then like we felt like they dropped the ball a little bit on it. And it was like kind of a misunderstanding of like of priorities for the album where we said, hey, like we think these are the priorities and they thought these were the priorities. And then we thought we came to a middle ground. And then the middle ground was not the middle ground. And then at the end of it, we were kind of just like, dude, we just wasted all this time of 12 songs and it really put us in this headspace of wanting to do singles because we were like, we can focus on every single song.
Yep.
Video, everything for the songs,
Absolutely.
and now we're doing an album again. But it took us a while to like want to do that, you
Absolutely,
know?
yeah.
And yeah. So
get
it's
it.
awesome that you guys did it that way.
It feels really, really good. I can't complain at all. So
yeah, love that. So are you guys booked the rest of the year already? Like, are you good?
yeah, we're already starting to book into early next year.
Oh, wow.
As well, so things are starting to line up. It
Yeah.
feels really good because now, like I said before, about once you're like 100% in on something, you're stoked on something, people, naturally are attracted to that. People are like, fuck yeah, like I'm fucking stoked on it too. Like it's so this wheel starts turning and the snowball is getting bigger and bigger and there's like more and more people that are wanting to get behind this as much as we are. So it's definitely showing with the touring that's getting lined up and whatnot. So we're definitely really, really excited. I'm
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, I know. I'm
pumped.
stoked. You guys are managed by Benji and Joel Madden, right? How's that? How is it like being managed by like artists? Because I feel like you're the kind of artist that one day you'll probably end up like managing artists or like something,
Yeah.
How is that like relationship like being managed by like another band that you probably like grew up listening to, you know?
That was, that changes everything. It just changes the dynamic where your manager completely understands what you're going through.
Right.
So when you're on tour and you're like, I'm having a shit day, like I don't feel like doing this, or like can we pump the brakes on this? Like I'm feeling burnt out. From a manager that is an artist that has done this even longer than you have, they get it. They're like, totally understand, dude. Like let's figure this out so that we can keep you happy.
Yeah.
That's been the biggest change, because with previous managers, now looking back on it, not all of them are like this, but a lot that I've been involved in, like just milk the fuck out of you, whether if you want to be milked or not. Like it's even if they love your band, they look at it differently. They're looking at it like okay, I can make $5,000 a month off this band in commissions, $5,000 a month, and if I get 8 bands that make $2,000 to $5,000, I'm making my 20,000 headroom thing. There it is.
It's just a business.
They don't like normal managers, they know the costs of things, but they don't really care. And so like having an artist, I know if I was managing acts and stuff, like I'd be like, okay, like let's take your flights out, or let's take your travel out, I'll commission after, or whatever that may be. And normal managers just don't give a fuck.
Don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And that's been such a sigh of relief and a breath of fresh air being with Benji and Joel, because they fucking get it.
Yeah.
So, and then with them being so understanding of the creative process of everything, and no matter how long it takes and whatever it takes, like let's get to that point so that everyone is fucking stoked on it. Everyone's happy. So working with them is just a fucking dream. I feel like
it would be really cool. Our manager, he's not like an artist, but he does understand from the artist standpoint, and it's such a
rarity.
It's such a rarity because like we got to the point now, and again, I think it's something that happens after you've been in the industry for 10 years or something, where like we were like just looking at stuff, and we were like, dude, like we went and played this festival in Brazil, let's say, and it was like let's say it's the biggest festival in the world, and it's like a little bit lower of a fee, but it's good to play because it's a global like thing, right?
It's a good look. Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so we took the hit financially, and let's say it almost cost us money to play it, but it was a good look. But it's like, then all of a sudden you start looking, you're like, wait, everybody commissioned on this. Like it was a payday, but like we were already in the red before even stepping on the plane.
Yeah.
It's a little bit weird, right? And it's really dope to find people that, even if they don't necessarily like defer commissions or whatever, that are understanding of a situation where I wish, like growing up and when we started, people were like, you guys probably shouldn't be in a bus yet. You should probably order less merch. You don't need this. And before it was kind of like everybody was just like, yeah, because at the end of the day, the bill came and they're like, okay, well, we're getting the commission regardless of if you guys spent too much money.
You're stuck with the bill.
Exactly. And you're stuck with the bill. And I think so many bands end up getting in merch debt and bus debt and all this stuff where you like look at these bands and you're like, dude, you owe your merch company 60 grand. And you didn't even know that was happening, but you thought somebody was in place to deal with it.
Bro, you were nailing it all on the head. And it's so nice to be involved with people that don't fuck you like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when you've been doing this long, like you just want to work with people that are going to be genuine and not fuck you. You know what I mean? So, and this is an industry just like any other industry, I guess. But you know, people are fucking nasty, dude. It's dog eat dog. Like I've had experience every major headache that's ever been brought up as far as labels and shitty back end deals and shitty management companies fucking milking the shit out of you. Like it's nice to just be at a point now where you trust the people that you work with and you're excited to work every day. You're excited to go on tour and there's transparency. And I guess that's something that was maybe lacking before in my previous projects.
It's one of those industries that's so weird that like every little thing has a Band-Aid that causes another flood. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're in this merch debt. We're going to get this merch deal to pay for that merch deal, but now you're in this merch debt. We got this label deal to pay for that, but now you owe the label money.
Band-Aid
now it's such a weird, it's literally, they're just like propelling you being able to stay alive until you're underwater.
It's
and
the
then they move on to the next band.
It's the classic lily pad effect that I always talk about.
Dave calls it the lily pad effect.
Well, it's like, you know, I need to get off this fucking lily pad. I'm in the middle of the fucking ocean, whatever. So I'm gonna jump to the next one. But now you're just on a different one. But it's the same thing. It's still sinking.
Yeah, I like that.
It's such a good, it's an amazing analogy. And we got there where we're like, you know, we've been through a few managers and stuff, and like honestly, some of them were great, and it just wasn't the right time, and some of them it was just kind of like, you guys aren't solving the problem. You're just kind of like dealing with the small issue where like there's this big issue and we're just like doing these little things where it would be like, yo, like take this show, that show, this show, that show, that. And it was like, okay, but maybe it's not the right look. And it was like, yeah, but it's this much money right now. And it was like, finally we like sat down with our agent and he was just like, hey, you guys need to get somebody in place. And you know, it's not pointing fingers at anybody, but it was like the kind of thing where he was like,
point fingers, dude.
Where I was like, this guy, no, but he was just like, you need somebody in place that is looking at the bigger picture and is going to say no to some stuff and is going to, I think a lot of people don't realize that saying no sometimes, even if it hurts you in that exact moment, is a better thing for you long term.
That's like such a thing to learn at being a musician. Is learning to
takes a long time.
And it's hard.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
It's so hard to do it. Like I remember when we made the transition to dance music, it was this thing where like, you know, the person we had at the time, we were like, yo, we really want to do this. We don't think we can take rock tours anymore. And it was like, we knew that was going to suck. We're like, okay, nobody believes us in the dance music yet. We're getting these offers for rock tours, but we can't do both. People won't think it's genuine and they're going to think that we're just trying to like cash out on being DJs. Like, we're going to, so for a year we were like turning down these tours, but like our team at the time was like, what are you doing? Like you're turning down $1 million in touring. Like, this is the wrong move and blah, blah. And it was so hard as an artist to be like, I'm going broke right this second, but we have to say no for the longer term.
But it's because you guys believed in what you were doing, and I commend the fuck out of you guys.
Thank you,
because you guys have grinded so hard for so long, and now just seeing the shit that you guys are doing, it's like it makes me really happy. It's so cool to see what you guys are doing. But you guys are like prime examples of everything we've just been talking about, with just like sticking to your guns, saying no to shit when you realize like I just need to say no to something, and then just following the path that you like feel is the best path for yourselves, and then just dominating.
I mean, it's right back at you, man. Like your whole story from, you know, setting up the Warped Tour stage in 2004 to like now you're in the best place you've ever been in, and like you've grinded and stayed true to your path. Like that's so impressive, man.
Thanks,
so
I appreciate
congrats
it.
to you
Dude,
too on
it's-
everything.
Man, this is like this whole journey, I'm sure you guys can attest to it, is such it's a fucking a test of endurance. You
Dude,
know?
that's
It's
all.
a
It's
test-
so funny that you say that.
A lot of people don't make it out alive.
Dude, it's
No,
my
dude,
it's
that's
my
exactly
number.
it. People literally die, dude.
Yeah,
It
they
gets
literally
fucking
do.
hard, yeah.
It's my number one quote. Like, obviously you have to have a set of talent, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, the music industry, and I think any art industry, it really comes down to like, you have to have that like little bit of spark and that little bit of talent.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's really, can you outlast the other guy? Like I attest to it all the time. I am not the most talented guy. I am not the best guitar player, best bass player, but I was always the guy that was like willing to outwork the other guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's it. That's really what it comes. And like, dude, setting up the warp stage and this and that's like, kids need to understand that it's that. It's literally, are you willing to wake up at 6 a.m, build a stage, open it to probably not very many people,
Yeah.
and then wait up all night, not get fucked up, break the stage down, then get in a van, drive, and then do it again.
Bro, it's
and
a test. And there's
dude,
people on that tour that were with us that didn't last a week or two. I mean,
Exactly.
it's hard.
Yeah,
It's
and
really
the fact
hard.
that you did that though is the reason why you've been able to outlast the other guy. You know what I mean? It
Absolutely.
really is like a test, and I think that now there's a lot of bands and a lot of rappers and a lot of this that are kind of like blowing up out of nowhere.
Yep.
And I think that it's a lot of them, if they don't have people around them that are like helping them and making them understand and being grateful for what's going on, they're gonna end up in really shitty positions.
It's not gonna be long lasting.
Exactly.
Yeah, and a lot of musicians like view shit in the short term.
Yeah.
Or I just view things as a long term. Like, what am I gonna be doing 20 years from now?
Right,
Like, what
exactly.
can I be doing to better what I'm currently doing to the best of my abilities that I can, so that 10 years from now I'm still striving and still moving forward.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the long game. It really is. Like, I feel like a lot of, guys that I know, they're like, oh, like I'm going to do my solo record or whatever because Rise or whatever label is going to give me 10 extra grand and I'll be able to pay my rent for that year. And it's like, okay, but like maybe you shouldn't have taken that 10 grand. Maybe you shouldn't have signed that random publishing deal with a random company, or like there's just so many little like get rich quick schemes, I call them.
Yeah.
Where it's like
Short term.
think about the longer term a little bit. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You got anything else?
No, this has been
Yeah,
great.
it's a great one.
Yeah, shit. That was
1
great.
hour down.
I feel light. Like
Yeah.
if that was like a therapy
Good.
session. I
You
feel
were right.
light.
So before we did this, we talked about how this is like it's very therapeutic.
Dude, it's
Right?
weird, right?
I'm on board with it.
Yeah, I
You
know.
see what I'm saying?
Nice.
Yeah,
Start a
feel-
podcast, man.
I'm going to.
We're gonna be your first
Yeah.
guest though.
Yeah.
We
All
call
right,
it.
done.
All right. Thank you for coming by, bro.
Thank you guys.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
bro.